Hey, welcome. Today we're diving into a totally different way of looking at chronic pain. We're going to shift the focus away from where you feel the pain to how you move. Have you ever wondered why that nagging pain in your back or your neck or your shoulder, it gets better for a little while with treatment, but then sure enough, it comes right back? It's a super frustrating cycle, and it kind of suggests we might be missing the real problem. For decades, the standard approach has been to treat the symptom, right? The sore muscle, the angry joint. But there's a new model that argues the real issue isn't the damaged tissue itself, but the faulty movement pattern that's been overloading it all along. At the very heart of this new approach is a concept that is completely changing rehabilitation. It's a diagnosis called uncontrolled movement. So what on earth is uncontrolled movement? Well, put simply, it's when a specific joint loses its fine-tuned control. And to get a job done, your body, being the smart machine it is, creates a workaround. The problem is that workaround, that compensatory movement, creates strain and overload somewhere else. And that's what eventually leads to pain. The whole idea is built on this one really simple, intuitive principle. Your body is incredibly efficient. It will always choose the easiest way to get a movement done. But here's the catch. Sometimes the easiest path isn't the safest one. And this path of least resistance gets created by this kind of tug of war in your body between stiffness and flexibility. So, for example, just imagine your hip flexors are really tight and stiff. When you try to bend forward, your body finds it's just way easier to bend through your lower back, which is an area of relative flexibility, than it is to push through that hip stiffness. So now your back is doing a job it was never, ever designed for. And this pyramid just illustrates that chain reaction perfectly. At the very bottom, at the base, you have the root cause, those stiff joints or tight muscles. That leads to the compensation in the middle, the uncontrolled movement. And then way up at the top, the last thing to show up to the party is the pain. So treating only the pain at the top is kind of like trying to fix a leaky roof by just mopping the floor. It doesn't fix the hole. Okay, so if these movement faults are the real culprit, how do we actually find them? I mean, they can be subtle, almost invisible, but there is a systematic way to uncover them. So clinicians use this really clear three-step process. First, they pinpoint exactly where and in which direction that control is lost. Then, they go hunting for the stiff areas that are causing it. And finally, and this is the most important part, they connect that specific movement fault directly to the activity that triggers your pain. Let's make this real with a quick little test. It's called a dissociation test. Right now, can you stand up and try to bend forward, like you're taking a bow, but keep your back perfectly straight, forcing all the movement to come only from your hips? If you tried that and found your lower back immediately wanted to round and bend, well, you've just experienced a very, very common fault: uncontrolled lumbar flexion. Your brain just chose the path of least resistance, bending your flexible spine instead of your stiffer hips. Now, the goal here isn't to be rigid or move like a robot. It's to achieve what's called dissociated movement. That ability to move one part of your body, like your hips, while keeping the part right next to it, like your spine, stable. This is really the foundation of healthy, resilient movement. Okay, so if the problem is a faulty movement pattern, how do we fix it? Well, the answer isn't about brute strength. It's about retraining your body's control system. It's software. Let's use a computer analogy because it's perfect here. Traditional strength training is like a hardware upgrade. It makes your muscles bigger, stronger. But motor control training? That's a software upgrade. It literally rewires your brain and your nervous system to use the hardware you already have more efficiently and a whole lot smarter. The source material makes such a brilliant point here. Pain acts like a computer virus. It doesn't really damage your hardware, your muscles, but it corrupts your software. It disrupts your coordination and causes your whole system to run these faulty, inefficient programs. And what that means is, to fix the software, the training has to be different. We're not talking about high-load, heavy-duty, fatiguing exercises. Instead, the focus is on low-load, non-fatiguing movements that are done slowly and with intense focus. The goal isn't power, it's precision, it's coordination, it's control. So what does this all mean for you? This isn't just some abstract theory. It's a new blueprint for taking back control of your body and finally getting to the root of that persistent pain. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? First, the source of your pain might be nowhere near where you actually feel it. Second, the real enemy often isn't tissue damage. It's a faulty movement pattern. And fixing it means retraining your brain, your software, with really precise, mindful exercises. And this is the key to not just feeling better for a little while, but to stopping the pain from ever coming back. Ultimately, this whole approach is about mindful movement. It's a reminder that building a resilient body isn't just about physical effort. It's about awareness, precision, and focus. You know, that old saying is so true. It's the mind that builds the body. So the next time you feel that familiar ache, maybe the right question isn't what hurts, but how am I moving?